Okay, so let's update Incineroar's moveset for Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon because of the Move Tutors. Now, Incineroar is actually going to benefit greatly from the Move Tutors in the new Pokemon games, and you can almost build an entirely new moveset compared to what we had in Pokemon Sun and Moon off of just the Move Tutors. That is actually going to be quite powerful. That's mostly because of Knockoff. Knockoff, already a very strong move that, 50% more base power when used by any Pokemon when you're removing an item from the opponent, but a powerful Dark-type Pokemon getting a hold of the Knockoff is devastating, and Incineroar, it wants this, it wants to remove items from sweeper Pokemon, so even if it doesn't score the KO, it's bringing incredible amounts of benefit to your whole team. It's a bulky Pokemon in itself, and then also it gets like counter take out bulky, tanky Pokemon that are really slow as well, just because that Knockoff. So the utility is good enough, and then the damage greatly benefits the Incineroar. And then we have Fire Punch. So Fire Punch is a weird one because it only gets Fire Fang, Pokemon Sun and Moon. No Fire Punch from the anthropomorphic Fire Cat that has Giant Fist. I don't get it. So mostly you want to use the Flare Blitz, but the problem is Incineroar is slow and bulky, so Flare Blitz, while it can KO a lot of Pokemon, while it can do insane amounts of damage, problem is you're taking hit and then you're taking recoil, so you're not really going to be able to do much else after that. So the Fire Punch, if you're boosting, is going to be very powerful on the Incineroar, because now you have something that you can use, do a lot of damage with, get stabbed, but then also doesn't really cost you your life and health. And then we get into the big one. So one of the biggest questions I've seen so far is, what do I run? Mimikyu, Incineroar, these Pokemon get Drain Punch through the Move Tutor. Should I be running that over the Leech Life? And that is actually a really good question, and honestly, I'm leaning towards the Drain Punch. Now, one way of determining which move could be better out of the two is by going to the Pokemon database and then doing the type coverage checker, because it'll show how these moves match up against all other Pokemon. Now, this isn't like the most perfectly accurate because there are not fully evolved Pokemon and the metagame does shift, but overall, this kind of shows you what you could expect to go up against and how that's going to work out. So by looking at Bug, we have 335 not very effective moves, 420 normal effective, and then 161 super effective hits. Now with draining moves, super effective hits I feel should be prioritized because that's a high chance to KO as well as a high chance of healing more health. And then normal effective moves, that's pretty much when we're going to be using it. So these are going to be two very important numbers. And then people that are supporters of Leech Life might just say, well, fighting loses instantly because ghost type Pokemon, you can't use it against them. So what's the point of having that when at least you can hit anything with the Leech Life, except for like the Shedinja or something like that. So we have 57 Pokemon with no effect, 271 not very effective, 360 normal, and then 229 super effective hits. So we have more super effective hits, and then if we combine the no effect and not very effective, it's going to be slightly less than the Bug. So I mean, that's going to be a personal choice right there, but personally for me, what I feel kills Leech Life in the face of Drain Punch is that we're not going to be using it against Ghost-type Pokemon anyways, and on the Incineroar specifically, is we already have Dark, so we knock off one-shot a Ghost instead of Leech Life or like 5% of our health back or something, So, I mean, we already have the matchup that kind of makes us want to use Drain Punch a bit more, because that does expand our super effective coverage. So that's something to consider. And again, like, yeah, we're not going to be using Leech Life against Ghost-type Pokemon anyways, so I don't think that the Ghost immunity off the Drain Punch is going to matter too much. It is 5 base power, but I mean, when we're comparing 75 to 80, that's less than 10% damage change. So overall, I feel that you will want to go for the Drain Punch. It's just kind of showing that Incineroar, it effectively can build a new moveset. You go Knock Off, Fire Punch, Drain Punch, either new coverage right here, or you run something else from Incineroar's moveset, and then we're just pretty much done right there. Unfortunately, there isn't really a pain split. I feel like Incineroar, being like this ferocious Dark-type Pokemon, might have been able to get away with it, but no hard sustain outside of our draining moves, so that's going to be something to consider. So let's go into Pokemon Showdown and start looking at some moveset options. So I'm going to make like some comparisons to my moveset video, my original one that I did on Incineroar, as well as just kind of showing what could be done for Incineroar right now. So right now, let's go and look at the moves that it can use off of the Move Tutors. Knock Off, Iron Head, Outrage, Thunder Punch, Fire Punch, Drain Punch, all those things I talked about. But I mean, the Iron Head and Outrage are going to be interesting because when we're dealing with Knockoff getting stab and then bonus damage, it kind of doesn't matter if you're hitting a super effective Iron Head or using a neutral Outrage. The stab bonus damage is just kind of going to carry that move more. So I don't know if those are going to be the best options. And also, like, Iron Head, if we are hitting a Pokemon with like a stab fire type move, you know, fairy type Pokemon, and when we see in the damage calculations, it's not going to be like a one-hit KO on every Iron Head that you use against fairy types. So even then, the Iron Head doesn't seem like the best option, but it is a steel type coverage move that you can throw on the Incineroar. Also, the Outrage, just a lot of damage. You can just destroy a dragon type Pokemon if you need to with that. And then Thunder Punch, where weak against water, we hit water super effective, but knockoff removes item, utility, insane amounts of damage in return as well. So those are just kind of other things to look at with the Incineroar moveset. And this is pretty much your moveset, guys. Like, max out the hit points, max out the attack, run bulk up, KO everything on knockoff, fire punch, and drain punch for your health back behind a citrus berry. I think that that's really what you need to do on the Incineroar. And I was thinking about Confusion Berry, but we're in like that magical state where we're probably not going to find ourselves at 25% hit points. Now, because of the bulk up, we're kind of only susceptible to very strong special attacks and then super effective physical and special attacks. And since we are going to be boosting, we're going to be rolling through enemies pretty hard. So we're not going to be taking these same amounts of damage every single time from the same enemy, because we're going to be getting different enemies, and also the opponent can revenge on us super easily. So maybe they bring in something that overwhelms us, which forces a switch out after we've already set up, after we've already consumed our citrus berry. So I feel that's going to be easier to finish off an Incineroar from, like, you know, 40% hit points, 30% hit points, than it is to actually get it to proc into that range where the Confusion Berry will actually benefit us. So I think a citrus berry, it's just going to be like bulk up, Citrus Berry activates, Drain Punch, get all of your health back, and then you snowball on +2 from there. And even then, +1 can get the job done on the knockoff, +2 for the Fire Punch and Drain Punch, and that's pretty much going to be good to go on the Incineroar. Also, do not underestimate Blaze. Once you get that Blaze in there, your Fire Punch getting that 50% bonus damage is going to be massive. So yeah, if you get like one bulk up, the Citrus Berry is going to kind of delay that, so it's like, okay, if you can play on like 200 IQ level of battling, you know, you use the bulk up, you take a hit, Citrus Berry activates, and then you can anticipate that the next hit puts you below 30%. You can like Fire Punch for that one hit KO, but also you might need to consider Drain Punch to get some health back as well. Incineroar is going to be like in these weird play mechanics, but it should not have that hard of a time 1-for-1ing or 1-for-1+. You know, you take out an opponent's Pokemon, and then you knock off an item on the second Pokemon as they KO you. You're going to be putting yourself in a good position with the Incineroar set up the way it is, and that's something to mention. Also, Assault Vest Incineroar. Unfortunately, you can't use a bulk up. Like, bulk up Assault Vest, in theory, if you could do it, would be kind of busted. But I mean, Assault Vest gives you a lot of that special defense. Pokemon that are trying to hit you with water type moves or any kind of super effective hits, or just powerful special attackers, might not expect it, so you can respond to them really well. You know, Tapu Koko isn't going to do much damage to you, and then you nuke it with an Earthquake. You also have just other options against a lot of other Pokemon, and then slight amounts of sustain, you know. Come in, just tap them with that Drain Punch. You're getting some health back while also heavily reducing special attacking damage. I do feel we need the Adamant Nature just to make sure we get the most healing out of the Drain Punch, but maybe we could go with a defensive nature. So that means the Impish gives us like a 10% boost to our defenses, and then the Assault Vest gives us a 50% boost to our special defense. So that works, and that just kind of shows that, yeah, you can do that with the Incineroar. So pretty much a lot of the other things that I said in my moveset guide are going to work out. But I think that this is kind of what Incineroar was looking for, just a strong bulk up set with a little bit of better coverage that it gets from the move tutors. And then I still want to stand behind this move set. I feel that Incineroar as a support in doubles is very powerful, and will be even more so powerful when we finally get Intimidate, guys. Like, that's what we're waiting for. I was kind of hoping that Intimidate would be revealed or announced by now, but I mean, that is really what's going to make Incineroar crazy. That in doubles, its usage is going to go up insanely, but also that's going to give Incineroar a lot of other options in singles that, you know, you can use as a revenge Pokemon, you can use as a response. You can maybe splash in a bit more special defense to back up with the bulk up and all this crazy stuff. Intimidate Assault Vest is going to be absurd, and also something you can do in doubles. So just like, yeah, do this, Intimidate, and then just coverage out in doubles, or you can also run the support. I like this idea for support. Come into that Fake Out. Fake Out in doubles, very powerful. It helps your Trick Room Pokemon set up. You have Snarl to drop special attack, Will-O-Wisp to cripple physical attackers, Throat Chop, that's going to stop sound-based moves, and there's actually a decent amount of sound-based moves out there that can be used quite often in doubles, especially Hyper Voice. So you can come in, shut down a Hyper Voice, while also providing damage. This isn't necessarily going to be the only moveset. With the Intimidate, maybe Will-O-Wisp won't be as necessary, so that's when we can have Knockoff. Running Dual Dark might be too much, so replace Throat Chop for something else, and then you just have, like, supportive, qualities on this Incineroar while also still being fairly tanky. Shuck a Berry, that way you can at least reduce the damage of 1 Earthquake. Then you go max tank and you're good to go. It shouldn't be about damage on this, but utility, I think Incineroar picks up a lot of utility. Also, I mean, it gets Snatch. So if the opponent's going for setup, you can Snatch that. I'm trying to think about other things. Endeavor, maybe. Stomping Tantrum, maybe. If you get protected, you can just throw out like a stronger, not Earthquake move. So I mean, Stomping Tantrum on Assault Vest and doubles, very powerful as well. So that's something to consider. And I think that just kind of shows that, yeah, once Incineroar gets Intimidate, everything's going to change, and this Pokemon is going to be wildly useful. So now let's go into the damage calculations, and I'll just look at some new Pokemon. You know, Blacephalon, it's very frail. 53 hit points, 53 defense. Even if you're not knocking off an item and you don't have any attack investment, knockoff KOs it. So things to consider, like the Incineroar just completely walls out the Blacephalon, and then you don't even, like, you can just be full tank. Like this moveset right here, and it's still going to be enough to go and KO the Incineroar, or the Blacephalon, and just knock off, or really any dark type move that you can throw at it like that. I'll look at some other matchups. You know, this is the amount of damage that we're doing against Silvally. We use that as a baseline, just kind of show how much tankiness we might be going up against. And completely neutral, you know, Flare Blitz, that's a 2-hit KO. Knockoff, kind of close to 2-hit KO. Drain Punch, that's going to be more of the like 4-hit KO range. But I mean, as we can see, when we start boosting, things are going to change around a lot. You know, Flare Blitz isn't too far behind the knockoff isn't too far behind on the Flare Blitz. Flare Blitz, like I said, it's a risky move, but I mean, you set up and then you're doing crazy amounts of damage. As we scale this around with other Pokemon, you know, +1 could be enough. +2 is definitely going to be enough. We're recovering high amounts of hit points on a Drain Punch. We're effectively just looking for that super effective hit to really bounce back all of our health on the Incineroar. Sometimes it happens, but even then, like, if we're already set up with bulk ups, physical attacks are doing very little to us, and Drain Punch might be healing as much or more from those physical attacks, just making us have more staying power. And then we just combo that. You know, you go, if we're in a 3-hit KO range, 4-hit KO range after that Citrus Berry, bulk up against a physical attacker, bulk up, Citrus Berry, Drain Punch, Drain Punch, Drain Punch, and then you start converting from there. So that's what we're looking at right there. I was looking at the Naganadel. So Naganadel is an interesting move, kind of matchup. That we have Adamant Nature with max attack. We're going to be able to do a 1-hit KO on the Earthquake. Now, they do run Focus Sash. So, I mean, just kind of showing that if you can chip damage Naganadel or follow it up into priority in something, Incineroar actually has a way of dealing with it. And then the Assault Vest is actually going to reduce damage. So, +2 Sludge Wave from Naganadel doesn't immediately KO us in a majority of the situations. Assault Vest is going to reduce that quite a bit, and then it means we might be able to survive another hit from another Pokemon. So kind of giving merits to the Assault Vest set as well. Again, I feel that once Incineroar gets the Intimidate, you know, you can splash it onto the team, and then you're going to find these situations where it just happens to work out a little better. But this is actually pretty solid overall. Just kind of showing that super effective move combos are pretty good. And then matching up with the Tapu Lele. So here's the issue with Tapu Lele I was talking about earlier, you know, Iron Head versus Knockoff. The Iron Head, even super effective, isn't finding that 1-hit KO, and Tapu Lele isn't like the most defensive Pokemon out there. So if we already had a +1, then yeah, that's going to be pretty great for the Iron Head, but it means Knockoff is also scoring KO, and that's pretty much it. So against certain Pokemon, you know, the Iron Head doesn't really matter too much, the Outrage doesn't really matter too much. And I feel like there's going to be some situations where the Iron Head actually works out pretty well, like pure Fairy type Pokemon that are also like investing in defensive bulk or something. Like we see that with Sylveon from time to time. So say we have like an uninvested, undefensive Sylveon, you know, Iron Head's a 2-hit KO, Fire Punch is a 2-hit KO, but if we have like hit point defensive investment onto that, then that means we're finding 2-hit KOs with the Iron Head that we wouldn't with the Fire Punch. It could give us some benefit, but I mean, that's going to be like few Pokemon. If Sylveon starts rising up in usage, that's going to be something to take note of. And also, you know, we have that extra EV, so I guess put it into speed, because you might get in these like weird 60 base speed ties and stuff. And even if you want to, I don't see any issue with like speed creeping. I like even a heavy speed creep on something like that. So this means that we're going to have a little bit safer outspeeds against 60 base speed Pokemon, which there are a decent amount of, and then Incineroar just having that priority over them is going to be pretty good overall. And I think that's really all I've got to say. So guys, enjoy the video. That is how you use Incineroar in Pokemon Ultra Sun Ultra Moon. I hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.